Okay, this is a continuation of a high converting website format. There's a few other things that you need to know when you're designing this. So in the last video, I kind of gave you a rundown of what the front page of a website or landing page should sort of function as, the elements you need to think about and to have, which is like your offer, your supporting content, then your call to action at the bottom. And so with that, what I want to dive into a little further is sort of understanding what you want to even offer in the first place. So before you even jump in to just start editing things, now in the last video I mentioned jumping in and editing things, and that's totally fine. But what I'm trying to say is before you launch and actually run a marketing campaign or try to drive traffic, you really need to focus on a few things first. You really need to focus on how are you going to call out your audience? In other words, who is your dream buyer? Who is the person you are trying to serve? Not a audience in general, like a target audience, but a singular dream buyer. Who is that person? What do they look like? Where do they hang out? Where do they live? And from there, you can start developing a really very specific persona. And when you have a specific persona, you can develop a specific offer that person will actually take. When you do a target audience, it sort of broadens everything, and it's a little harder to dive into the details and get really specific. So you have to think, how am I going to call out my audience with this website? Right? Address your audience to the start of your ads at the top of your landing page or sales letter. So designing your website needs to correspond with who your dream buyer is. And if you're going to run ads or Google ads or anything like that, or some sort of marketing to your web page, that has to correspond with what you are showing that audience. So if your landing page does not meet what your dream buyers want, or your ads don't meet what your dream buyers want, then the whole system won't work, if that's clear enough. Okay, the other part we need to focus on is you have to demand their attention. So when you're developing your site and you are going through and adding copy or tweaking things, not only do you need to make sure that you're making a bold claim that you can actually keep, that's really important too, make a bold claim, but you're also saying things in a way that demands their attention. You're not asking for permission. You're just saying, listen to me. You're basically grabbing people by the throat and saying, you need to pay attention to this. And that's sort of the way you need to design your site in terms of feel and copy. So you know who the dream buyer is, you know what they want, you know everything about them, you know how to speak to them in a really irresistible way, and you know how to demand their attention so they don't jump on your site and essentially just bounce off. The next thing is you need to back up your promises. So whatever you put on your website, you need to make sure that is something is legitimate and you can actually fulfill, right? After your big promise headline, you need to back it up with a straightforward explanation of a sub-headline. So that would be like a more practical application of what I'm saying with backing up your big promise. So if you put a claim of Miami's digital marketing solution, you need to then in the subtext give them backing up information to actually back up that big promise you're making. So whatever you're saying you're going to do, like we're going to get you 50 leads a month, we're going to get you 100 leads a month, you need to then back that up and explain how that's actually true and why that's a credible statement. Okay? That's another thing that you have to implement into your web design. The next one is you need to create irresistible intrigue. Now this sort of goes along with what I've been saying. Like if you don't know your dream buyer, let alone your target audience, if we even go a little broader. If you don't know enough about your target audience or dream buyer, you're not going to know how to create irresistible intrigue with that buyer. A great example of this is if you have a best friend, you consider that person your best friend because that sort of means you know everything about them and there's a mutual trust. So if your friend doesn't like curry, if you want to convince them to leave the house and go do something fun with you, like go get curry, you're not going to mention curry. You know that person likes sushi, you like sushi, so if you're going to say, hey, let's go out, come on, let's do it, and you're trying to convince them, you're going to say, hey, let's just go get sushi, right? That's on the right path. That's in line with what the dream buyer wants. You need to treat creating this irresistible intrigue in the same way, right? If you don't know your dream buyer, then you don't really know what they're wanting. You're just guessing. You're just throwing random offers in front of them, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So you're going to have to be able to take that research and turn it into something that creates irresistible intrigue with your dream buyer. The next one is you need to shine a floodlight on the problem. One of the biggest strategies in sales, and to get people to the point of being aware of what's going on and being aware that they need your solution, is putting a floodlight on your dream buyers' problems, their challenges. Okay, if we don't do that, then there's really no value in the solution. If there's no problem, there's no solution, right? It's just a commodity, I guess, at that point. So you need to shine the floodlight on the problem. The website should do this. Remember I mentioned before, you want your website to be similar to a sales rep. So by the time they take an action, whatever that is, scheduled appointment or contact form, whatever, they're selling them to make that action. Just like a sales rep is selling them to come on as a client. So shining the floodlight on their problems really gets them concerned that, oh my gosh, I really am aware now that I am having this problem. And therefore, what fits nicely to overcome that problem are your services. See, so now you've made it very clear that, in fact, you're facing these problems, and in fact, this is a solution to hand you. The next step is provide a solution, which I kind of already jumped into. But if you show the problems that people might have and people relate, they go, I'm having this problem, you can easily present a solution to them for them to connect the dots and then instantly understand, especially in an irresistible way, that in fact they need this, they want this. So when I was mentioning this before, this is the next step. I was mentioning this before, everything that you give, you have to back up, right? So if you come off as the industry expert in what you're doing as a marketing agency, and that is shown in a compelling way through your website, then you really have to make sure what you're showing, you have to make sure you show your credentials, okay? You have to prove to them that you're a trusted or established credibility that establishes your expertise, right? And so all this ties together to become a really strong foundation where anyone who comes on top of that foundation is you're instantly recognized as quickly as possible that you are in fact the go-to resource. So all this needs to be designed and thought about when you're putting your website together in the right format. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is social proof. This is crucial. Now, I will admit it's difficult to get because you have to get clients or maybe find ways to get people to vouch for you and stuff. But social proof is one of the best ways you can just build instant credibility. And social proof has anything to do with, it's third-party validation, right? If someone makes a video and says how great working with you is, and by the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be you providing. Now, if you're starting off, it doesn't have to be like you're providing a service necessarily. It actually could just be someone vouching about you as a person. Daniel is really reliable. He's professional. I enjoyed working with him. He even helped me just do a few extra things. I'd recommend working with him too because he'll always, be responsive. So you can use social proof that way. But other people vouching for you is very powerful. The next one we're going to go over is you need to make a grand Godfather offer. What does that mean? Well, if you know that famous line from the movie, make him an offer he can't refuse, to which literally all that prospect or dream buyer is going to be able to do is say yes. Why would they say no? They can't say no to what you're offering them. So you need to make sure whatever offer you're coming up with, you have to make sure it has a Godfather aspect to it. It's so irresistible. It's so good. And you've designed it because you know the needs and wants. You know the challenges of your dream buyer. You craft something that you can put in front of them at the right time. And it's so irresistible, you can't say no to it. You have to have an offer like that. If it's anything less than that, you need to work on knowing your dream buyer more and crafting a better offer. All this stuff we're going over, by the way, is what helps you create a better offer anyways. Okay, now just to give you one more context about this is you just have to make sure that whatever offer that is clear and precise. it's also really easy to understand. Okay, it can't be complex, can't be like techie. It has to be really comprehensible. The next one we're going to go over, there's a few more, is don't be afraid to add bonuses. Now, if you're already saw some of our other videos about how our fulfillment center is priced really nicely, and the fact that you can bundle things, and so your margins are actually better, especially for a marketing agency. You can bundle services together. Don't be afraid to add bonuses. Now, there's different ways you can add bonuses, but if someone is coming to you and you've added a ton of credibility and you want to add more value just to make their decision easier on them, don't be afraid to add sweeteners or bonuses to offer them. And that could be really anything. It doesn't have to be like an extravagant thing. Maybe you're like, and by the way, we'll create you a Google My Business account too. That could be a bonus. Okay, there's a few more. The next one is stack the value. This sort of goes off with what I said with adding bonuses. When you're designing these offers, always have more ammunition in your arsenal. So you can see how, I hope you're following though, because I hope if you are, you should be able to see how the value in just what I'm saying keeps stacking. It keeps getting better. It keeps getting more credible. Like if this was an offer, there would be no way you could resist this. Stack the value. The next part we'll go over is reveal your price. So when you're chatting with people and you only want to reveal your price when they get to a certain point of, I understand, I'm confident in what we're doing. Now just let me know what we need to actually move forward. Okay, so that is sort of the idea of how you want your site set up. So you want to set it up so precisely that by the time people get in contact with you, it shortens your sales process. They already know what you do. They already have a Godfather offer. They have the value. You added bonuses. You have a guarantee. And so at that point, getting to the point where you can reveal the price is going to not be such a sticker shock with them, because they're confident in the website. You get on the phone with them. They're confident in you. Then when you say, and you've added tons of value, stacked the value, you've added bonuses. Now when you reveal the price, it's going to be so much easier for them to comprehend and want to move forward with you. The last thing I want to mention is injecting scarcity. In your website, injecting scarcity in terms of, don't wait any longer to keep losing money. Contact us today. Okay, that's great verbiage. Give a powerful guarantee. We mentioned this before. You don't want to make a guarantee that like screws you over. If someone pays you a couple $1,000, then you have to give it all back. So design something that are perceived risks that you can definitely cover. Okay, you want to make sure you have a clear call to action, which typically is throughout the site. But by the time they go through all the supporting content, they should feel confident to make a call to action. You're going to tell them to do something. You want to have that. And then finally, this is a lot of information, I know. And maybe you want to rewatch this and keep, learning and understanding these concepts and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of work to put into your website. It is. All those little points I said that you have to think about, it's a lot of work. But when you're able to put in that front end effort, design this site to just be like, it looks amazing, which by the way, these sites pretty much already have that designed for you. It has all your branding. It has all your offers. You know exactly what to offer these people. I mean, everything you need that I just mentioned, you're really going to end up with a high converting website where the money you put in, you're going to get a return on, because you put that research time, dedication, production, everything into it. So I would actually recommend rewatching this video, taking notes if you get kind of confused about certain things, and just go over what each of those sections I mentioned would look like on your website as a section. What would a guarantee look like? What could I guarantee? What kind of bonuses could I add? What kind of offer could I craft that I know this singular dream buyer is going to love? And how do I turn that into compelling website copy? All right. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. Jump into your DashClicks account, browse around, start developing your website format. Maybe rewatch this video and go step by step, pause it so you're not going too quickly. And I'll see you guys in the next video.